Pay no attention to the voices behind the curtain.
They can't hear us when that's going on.
Okay, thank goodness. Wow. So the things you said. Oh my gosh.
No.
Welcome back, everybody, to Playoff Beards. Last Playoff Beards of the regular season here, Ryan. It's starting to fly by now. It's a crunch time. We're going to be talking about things that we noticed at the trade deadline, maybe just leading up to the trade deadline, because of course there's always some couple interesting trades that happen just before the actual deadline.
Yeah. NHL is good for that now. It's the lead up to trade deadline, but trades are a little bit better before trade deadline. But this year we have stuff to talk about.
Yeah, there's
Let's talk about
a couple surprises. Snark here, Ryan Christensen with me as always. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing very well. How are you doing?
I'm doing just fine. And manning the ones and twos for an improper perspective as an Avalanche fan on the comings and goings. Trade deadline. Our buddy Adelia is here. Adelia, how are you? Especially, how are you after it was a pretty big trade deadline for you guys?
I'm good. I'm very good.
And that's it. You're not staying awake at night thinking, if I could only have gotten a second line center, and then having to remember, oh yeah, you got a second line center.
We did.
You got a second line center that some other team was probably looking for. But did not want to give up, I guess, this kind of price. This one you can't put on Brock Nelson. This one you can put on. It was an exorbitant amount.
The Avs definitely gave up a lot for him. Yeah,
we're gonna get to that in a minute. Let's start with the first big trade, because it has maybe something to do with something that happens a couple days later. We're talking Seth Jones going to Florida from Chicago. That huge contract he had through, 29-30. He had a $9.5 million per year contract. Somehow, Florida gets Chicago to eat 25%?
25%.
Yeah, he's only going to make $7 million now until 29-30.
Wow.
They give us Spencer Knight, a quality backup goaltender, and for Chicago was right into their
I was going to say a quality starting goaltender for the Chicago Blackhawks.
For Chicago now, for sure. And then they're another team that just has 100 goaltenders with them. But maybe this one's going to work. He had almost got a shutout in his first game against LA. Plus, they get a first-round pick out of Florida. For that, Florida doesn't care. They're not worrying about picks.
No.
Why would they? They're competing for cups. So they get Seth Jones. And say what you will about Seth Jones. He was on a bad team. He's never really quite fit right. I don't think coming over from Columbus, got that huge contract. But he leads the league in power play points per 60 on a pretty bad team. So you figure with the quality people, the quality players he's going to have in Florida, that number is going to rise exponentially. It's going to be a huge move, I think, for Florida, especially since I think maybe they also had this in mind, that this could happen. Aaron Ekblad missing the rest of the regular season, 18 games. He'll miss two playoff games as well. For
minimum.
Doping. Yeah, for doping.
Mm-hmm.
This is the call that I think Mikhailo Mudryk would love to get. Ideally, just to throw back to over to Starting 11, or our English Premier League podcast right here on LGRN Sports Live Tuesdays. Now,
good plug.
I think they had pretty much they knew what was going to go on. They had to make a move. Also, I was going to say Kiefer Kachuk. His kid, Matthew, is Vegas Golden Knighting the rest of the season. It seems they put him on LTIR.
The hate now. The hate's going on, and it's not warranted.
I did it for Vegas last time too.
Yeah, and you're going to do it for every other team. You're going to do it for every other team.
When there's a knee injury, you're guaranteed a spot or whatever, as if you can't make it back.
Oh, if Winnipeg did this, you'd be like, yeah, there's no problem with this.
Who would they pick up?
Did.
Tell me who they pick up. Tell me who's going to come. If you could tell me who's going to come, I'll agree with you. I'll wait. Okay, the answer is
Keep,
nobody. It
keep waiting.
doesn't. It can't happen with Winnipeg. It can't ever. So yeah, they just play. Yeah. So he's gone. They pick up some. It's not like they did a lot. They did pick up that contract. They're gonna have to figure that out in the summertime.
Yep.
They did some smaller moves, some moves that I like, but we'll talk about them in a bit. But just an overall thought on Seth Jones in Florida now.
I think it's a fantastic pickup for Florida.
Mhm.
Again, it's a nice to have when it comes to Florida. Like the team that they won with last year is the team that they still have. Yes, like this Aaron Ekblad thing came out after the fact, which, like you said, did they know it was coming? There's pretty good chance they did. Yeah,
Mhm.
pretty good chance they're like, ooh, we need to do something because this is coming down the pipe.
Yeah.
But but you know what? Like to get somebody like Seth Jones, like you said, who is a fantastic power play specialist. I'm not saying he's great in his own end and all that because he's not. But it's somebody who that they could slot into their top four and you know and still be as competitive as they were for the last 2 years.
One thing
And,
that's really
and
good as well is it's just his first pass to get it out of the zone and stuff like that. They have guys that can fly in
oh,
Florida's
absolutely. And realistically, they give up like what was it, a first round?
first rounder, which just doesn't matter to them.
Doesn't matter to them because
Yeah,
what is it?
and Spencer Knight.
20, 29, 30, 31.
Yeah,
Like for
well,
them, it
it depends
doesn't
on
matter.
if they win the cup, it's 32.
Yeah.
If
So,
not, yeah, it's
oh,
around the 28,
but
29. It's yeah,
that's why I didn't say 32 because I don't think they're winning the cup. But
no,
that's okay.
nope. All right. Any thoughts on that, Adelia? Would you have rather have seen Seth Jones stay in the Central?
I mean, no.
No,
Um,
No, because other
Seth,
players came. So
yeah,
yeah, yeah. Um, I think it's good that he got out of Chicago because Chicago's a mess.
they're a
But
mess.
don't really have many more thoughts than that.
We're gonna move on then. Former Columbus Blue Jacket, great. There you go. Oilers do move. They shore up their
oh,
center position here, getting Trent Frederick. Trent Frederick, a guy I don't mind. He's a big guy. He's
it's
not afraid to fight. But as a
solid pickup.
they get a yeah, he'll be on their third line for what reason.
I, I
I
I would
don't
say
see how
third.
just don't see how. Well, it would be third or it would be fourth. There's two guys that are pretty good.
Yeah, there's two guys that are pretty good.
I just don't understand. Like, if this, I don't understand why this would be for the playoffs. I just think he's not the type of guy for the playoffs. He's big, but unreliable, especially when it comes to penalties. It's just it lets his size get to him. He likes to fight, and he's currently injured, and he'll be back before the season ends. But he's been nursing some problems there. They didn't give up a crazy amount prospect wise. They had to give up Max Jones and Peter Hauser to
Yeah,
the
like
Bruins. Max
that
Wenner. Max Wenner may be the best of their prospects that gets sent
could
out.
be.
That goes over to New Jersey because they retain 50%. Or sorry, Renner goes to the Bruins. Shane LaChance,
Yeah,
Scott LaChance's kid, goes to the Devils. They take on
Devils.
25% of Frederick's salary. Bruins retain 50%. So Oilers
It
only
cost.
had to pay 575
Yeah, it costs
thousand
nothing for the
dollars.
Oilers. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's right.
he has 15 points in 57 games. But it had to be that way because I think literally the Oilers have $80 left to spend.
I don't think they have that.
We had some pretty.
Like,
Un petit peu en français.
they
Petit peu.
they might have enough for a 9.99 Happy Meal there at McDonald's, which is in Canada now.
They,
So,
yeah, they can get
but
a
yeah,
bag of popcorn and split it between
yeah,
them, the guys
exactly.
on the bench. Yeah,
But to be perfectly honest with you, like I think like Edmonton, like does this improve their team? I don't think so. I really don't.
it's a
Like it's kind of a it was kind of a we give you this, you give us that. We think it's an upgrade, but I don't think it is. I mean, bottom line is Edmonton, I think, is in a lot of trouble going forward, as we have seen in recent play. They haven't gotten any better.
Nope.
And again, I don't think.
A terrible run of late. I think they lost 6 in a row before finally beating Montreal in
Well,
overtime.
yeah, yeah, and I'm sure that you have lost sleep over it, which I'm going to say you probably slept more like a baby now,
It's
which
been
is good.
incredible. It's been
An
incredible.
incredible sleep.
Yeah, I've grown 3 dark hairs back.
But yeah, so like as far as I'm like Edmonton, I d- they did nothing to improve their team.
No, it's a lateral move. It's depth. There's nothing wrong with depth, especially
No,
going into the playoffs. But
but they didn't get any better. Like
I know that.
even with depth moves, they didn't get any better.
And we'll talk about depth moves coming up. Don't worry. We're gonna go. Well, I guess you can go goaltending depth here. Panthers had to make a bunch of changes to get some guys in. They get Vitek Vanacek from San Jose for a
Yep.
minor leaguer. Has a was it 12 points in 39 games on the minor
Hey,
leagues. Patrick Giles. Uh, yeah, but he did score in the San Jose debut, so there you go. Then they trade Chris Driedger back home to Winnipeg for Capo Kakinen, just for extra goaltending depth. I guess they wanted
so
Cap.
is Drieger going to be the third or second?
No, he'll be third.
Okay,
Comrie's going to be
okay,
second, but
okay,
he'll be on the Moose. He'll play for the Moose. He'll be fine. Uh,
okay.
I think it's just interesting that it was Capo Kakinen going to Florida. Now they got Vitek Vanacek and Capo Kakinen. Weren't they traded for each other just last year at the trade deadline? Something like that.
I was going to say Kapanen. He's been traded what twice in like less than a year.
Yeah, 2 or 3 times, and then he was on waivers. I think he went to Colorado for a
He
little
did.
bit.
He went to Colorado for a couple games.
Yeah,
Then we put him on waivers and you guys took him back.
yeah, we've done that a few times. With like Mike Comrie or Comrie, we've done a couple of times and stuff like that too. Put them on waivers and take them back. So, yeah, they like their guys, I guess, and they have, you know,
Yeah.
Comrie's going to be the guy. Comrie will be the guy for the playoffs and stuff like that. So,
Okay, I just
fingers
wasn't
crossed,
sure.
somebody doesn't get hurt.
I
Yeah.
just wasn't sure if they brought like Drieger in for like to be like kind of a to challenge for the second or just like he's there for just in
Insurance.
insurance purposes.
Yeah, just in case they got some good goaltenders on the farm, Winnipeg,
But
but they're
but
not ready. They're not ready
no,
yet.
that's right.
Yeah, so they get somebody with a little bit more NHL experience, not tons, but a little bit more. Okay,
Hey, makes perfect sense.
Tampa's trying to get the band back together. They went and get Yanni Gourde. Yes, 18 points in 39 games played. So still, it's a career riddled with injuries for Yanni Gourde. They also get Oliver Bjorkstrand.
I
He's got
kind of
38 points in 54 games.
I don't mind the trade. I
Yeah,
really don't.
they get Seattle gets Mikey Eismont, who started out here in Winnipeg. I really liked him. He was a cap casualty. Unfortunately, they never wanted to get rid of of Logan Stanley, so they put Mikey Eismont on waivers. He went to Tampa. They also get 2 first-round picks. They get one in 26 and 27. They get a 2025 second-round pick for him.
Wow.
The Kraken are going to retain 50% of Gord's $5.17 million contract. And when I saw that, my eyes popped out of my head.
That's a lot for
That's a
Yanni
lot.
Gourde.
Yeah.
Yeah, Red Wings are going to take 25% of that for a fourth rounder. So it turns out I think Tampa's going to be paying him what 1.8 million bucks. Sounds a little better, but even then, 18 points in 34 games for a gut.
See
You can't trust
Yeah.
he'll be on the ice.
this whole thing now with bringing in third and fourth teams for salary retention and all that.
Yeah,
It just baffles me and bothers me.
weaponizing the your salary cap space.
It's
Some
it's
teams
it,
did it, some teams didn't. We'll talk about that in a
no,
minute.
I get that, but it's so like if you can't afford the player, I'm sorry, you can't afford the player. Not our problem.
Yep. Well, to think that there may be some, troubles with the collective bargaining agreement, I think
It's
is
just
is an easy thing to say. We keep talking about Vegas. Maybe there's some loopholes that should be sewn up. We think. I don't
Yeah.
mind it. I don't mind it. if you're getting a decent return, if it's like a seventh or something like that, why do it? But
But
let's say if it's at least a fourth round, like it is, fourth round, who knows? Connor
okay,
Hellebuyck was a fifth round pick.
that's true. I know that's fair. That's
Yeah.
fair.
Uh, Pens are getting Michael or sending Michael Bunting to the Predators for Luke Shen, and let's keep that name in mind. And Tommy Novak, you know, Tommy Novak has 22 points in 54 games somehow this year for the Predators. So there you are. Michael Bunting, 29
Two are,
points.
two of the worst teams in the NHL right now. Like,
The Penguins
come
are so bad.
on.
Are you
They're
They
both
surprised?
are.
they're
Are you
both
surprised
so
they didn't do
bad.
more? Like,
No.
yeah, I'm surprised that they didn't at least. Maybe they did try to move a bigger piece, uh,
Wait,
but
but
what would the takers
what
be
piece
here?
are you moving? What bigger piece does Pittsburgh have?
They have a Swedish defenseman that used to be good.
That's what, 9 million? Like, how much is his contract?
Yeah, now you got 5 different teams that can take $1 million for a draft pick.
Yeah, I guess that's true too. Yeah, I never thought of that. Yeah, just make a 8 team trade where
Exactly.
7 of the teams take 1.5 million, and then the other team
I'm.
is like,
I didn't write it down in my notes, but I'm pretty sure Ryan Shea Weber got traded at the deadline this year.
oh, yeah. What?
His
Very
contract,
good.
his
His
LGR
contract's good.
contract, went from Utah to where is it, Chicago or something like that? I don't know.
Oh yeah,
I
Strange,
don't know.
yeah,
strange.
because they're gonna benefit from LTIR. Like, give me a break.
They gotta get to the floor at least. You know what I mean?
That's the problem, is that these teams are not going to the floor.
Yeah. Well, they have to get to the floor, but they get to do it by ridiculous means. Anyways, Brian Dumoulin gets sent to the Ducks, and a name that was getting floated around for a lot, or from the Ducks to the Devils, I should say. Okay, it's Ducks retain another 50% of this. I don't know. Panthers get Nico Sturm from San Jose. That's a good pickup, I think,
That's a
for
good
them.
pickup.
That's
That's a
Hmm.
very
using
good pickup.
that's using some of that space. It was for a seventh round pick, or they get him in a seventh round pick for a fourth round pick in 2026. That's good. That's a good hockey trade.
That's
That's
That
good.
that.
that
I thought that's a hockey trade.
that's winger depth for you for a good team. I don't know how much he's going to play, but we'll see. Maybe he gets a spot right now because they make a trade for a guy that's hurt. We'll talk about that in a minute. I'm going to only bring up this because a team that I've mentioned quite a few times, that usually does something big every trade deadline, the Vegas Golden Knights. And the only thing they really did was bring back Riley Smith from the Rangers.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. It was very unusual for them this year.
It
Right?
was very unusual.
I think they're one of those teams that was always trying to get into something bigger and it just never materialized.
Very possible.
I don't think anybody feels like they have to help out the Vegas Golden Knights anymore. I think
Yeah.
that's
I,
done.
I think you hit the nail on the head. I think it's like, you know what? We're done with you guys. Like, we know what you do. We know what you've done. We're not gonna facilitate anymore.
No, enough is enough. So the Rangers retained 50% of his contract, and Riley Smith was making $3.75 million a year. It's bananas. They go and pick up Carson Soucy from the Canucks for a third round pick. All
Oh,
right. Rangers
that's
aren't making the playoffs, guys. You know what I
No.
mean? Well, I don't know why they're doing all this of getting Carson Soucy of all people. Now, I think we've gone on long enough.
now
Let's go.
let's get to the meat on the bone now.
We'll talk about the New York Hockey Islanders
Woo!
sending Brock Nelson and his 44 points. And let's not forget AHLer William Dufour for the to the Colorado Avalanche.
Four
Colorado, their top prospect, Callum Ritchie. They send Oliver Shillington over. I don't even
and
know how much he's ever played for since coming over from Calgary, and a
and
2026 first plus
and
a 2028 third. If the Avs win the cup, which don't count on that third, by the way. BTW, right, Adelia?
We'll see.
trying to trying to elicit something didn't quite work. Let's talk about him leaving the Islanders first, Ryan. I believe he was there
oh,
for
it was
13 years. 13 years an
it's
Islander.
oh it's you know, it's always hard, and this one was especially tough for myself
Hmm.
because like you said, 13 years. This man he's bled the orange, the white, and the blue.
That doesn't sound healthy.
It is on the island.
Oh, okay, right. I've
There
seen,
we go. There we go.
I've seen what they put
But
all
you,
over.
but you know what? I mean, again, I'm glad, and this is the thing. I'm glad that he actually went to a team that can perhaps make a run. Perhaps.
A team that he definitely fills a need for them.
Mhm.
He'll have
Well, the
better
biggest need,
players
yeah, biggest
surrounding
need
him
for
right
sure for
now.
them. But I'm just, I'm the most excited for Lou Lamoriello because he actually did a fantastic GM deal for the team he's a GM for.
Not somebody else.
Like
Uh,
my
yeah.
God, like what we got for Brock Nelson, I was shocked when I heard that.
An
Yeah,
unrestricted free agent as well, by the way. There's a good chance
that's
he could just
true.
end up signing back on the island if he wanted.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I'm surprised this was not a sign and trade
Yeah.
because I could have seen that. Like, I thought that was what was going to happen is Brock Nelson agrees to a 4-year, whatever, 3-year deal with Colorado, and then the trade happens.
Yep.
But for what we got, I'm very, it sucks for us because we lose arguably our best player, but we got back something that we can build on going forwards. And I'm happy with Adelia's team because they get a need that they had to address as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a win-win. I would say all around.
They're able to move on from Casey Middlestat because
Mhm.
of this. They send
Well,
him. Well, we'll
that's a
talk
big
about
one
that in a
too.
minute. We'll talk about that in a minute. I wasn't happy with this trade at all, but
Well,
I am happy that the Jets didn't give up this much. Like, what would the equivalent be for the Jets having to give up this much? You're giving up.
ooh, I don't think the Jets could have given up this much.
Well, they give up Brad Lambert. They have their first round
Okay,
pick, but they give
yeah,
up that.
Lambert, yeah, yeah.
They give up this one. Lambert even they probably wouldn't want. They probably want Yeager because he plays center. Uh,
Oh yeah.
First, another third. That's a for the Jets who
Well,
have
okay,
to develop their own guys to
okay.
bring in
I'm
a guy,
sorry.
an unrestricted free agent like that. Yeah, that's too pricey. Too pricey. I get it.
Uh, Am I a little confused, or is it two firsts? Isn't it first 26 and 27?
Oh,
26 or 27.
yeah, it's a 26.
Oh, okay. So it's the first 26, or so that's okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it'll be 26.
Well,
uh,
yeah, that makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah. I'm glad we didn't give up that much. I don't know if I'm upset that we didn't really do anything to. Well, we did
But
nothing
but
to
at the
show our
time,
first line center,
but at
but we're still the best team
but
in
at,
hockey.
but at the time, if that's what happened and Winnipeg did do that, and Brock Nelson was coming in to the Winnipeg Jets, you'd be like, I get it, I get it.
Yeah,
They had it, like, not saying they had to do it, but it's not a bad trade to do.
it's if they think, yeah, if yeah, I just
It's tough.
knowing that it'd be so hard to sign them again because we've been burned so many times bringing guys in and not being able to sign them to give
No,
up
I understand that.
that much for 20 games and then a playoff run. If they win the cup, yeah, great.
It's all worth it.
If they don't, it's huge. It's huge.
But
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
why I'm surprised it wasn't a sign and trade. That's why
Yeah.
I'm surprised
Well, maybe
giving up that.
they didn't have time to work on it yet. Maybe they're he has his agents can talk to him till the end of the season now.
That's right, 100%.
Moving on. Quick,
Um,
go ahead.
you don't want my thoughts on this?
Oh, I thought you did talk about.
No.
We
Sorry,
don't want.
go
We
ahead.
don't.
I'm just
No,
so busy about
we
talking about the
don't.
Jets somehow.
We don't want the Avalanche fan to talk about the Avalanche. No.
Yeah,
Yeah,
of course not.
go ahead.
I'm quite happy with this trade. I know we gave up Richie, who was our top prospect. He played like the first 10 games of the season in the NHL this year before we sent him back to junior hockey because he wasn't ready. But I think he has a chance to be a really good player in the NHL someday. Shillington's been hurt most of the year. He like just came back like right before
That's his whole
this.
deal. Even with
Yeah.
Calgary, he's been hurt. Yeah.
And not that Shillington stayed on the Islanders for long because he didn't, because they flipped him to the Ducks like almost immediately. Got traded like twice in an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that we actually went out and addressed this issue, and we didn't just try to stick with Casey Middlestat or whoever being the second line center, because that was a massive issue this year and it needed to be fixed. It's one thing I will say about Chris McFarland for the Avs this year is that he has tried really hard to fix the problems that have presented themselves. The goaltender trades earlier in the year, all the moves at the trade deadline to like make this team the best that he could make it for a playoff run. Whether we get past Dallas in the first round, because we're probably facing Dallas in the first round, or not remains to be seen. But they're trying, and I'm glad that they aren't just like, well, we'll rebuild now, because there's no reason to do that yet.
No, and I like the fact that your GM, like you said, sees an area that needs to be addressed and addresses it right away. Like
Yeah.
they could have waited for the goaltending and all that, but if they waited, how far back would they have been?
Yeah.
I don't like the money.
I said,
I don't like the money they gave Blackwood. I can tell you that.
well, no, that's fine, but realistically, like the goaltending that they have now compared to what they had the first 20 games or whatever it was, it's night and day.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. Like, yes, I don't like a lot of contracts in the NHL, but
No.
whatever.
Want to talk a hockey trade?
Yes.
How about we talk about Josh Norris being sent to Buffalo for Dylan Cousins?
See, I appreciate that trade. I appreciated that trade because that gives both teams a player that will help that team. Like Dylan Cousins, but Dylan Cousins was rumored to be traded from Buffalo for how long?
He had
Like,
that big. He had a big contract. He was, he's on a Buffalo team that's bad. Like there's no one to help him. He goes over to Ottawa and he looks like a star already.
oh yeah. And Josh Norris, like I'm sorry, Josh Norris, yes, you could be a star, but
Keep getting
you
hurt,
just get hurt too much.
and you make almost $8 million a year.
Yeah.
How does that really give him that much money? $7.95
crazy.
million. Dylan Cousins is making $7. They're both contracts run out in 29-30.
Contracts are out of control in the NHL.
It's about to get crazier.
But then I see like contracts that are handed out in other sports and the guaranteed money that like NFL players or baseball players are getting, and I'm like, I'm glad the contracts are at this level.
The NHL cable package.
I know. I totally understand the reason why, but I just think some professional athletes make too much money.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 100%. So
they all do. They all do.
Did you see Brady Tkachuk's interview afterwards? He could barely hold it together. He's been with Josh Norris from the beginning. He had lots of time to hang out with him. Not on the ice, but afterwards. I guess they're both American, right? Josh Norris is an American.
Josh Norris is American, I believe. Yes.
There you go. Anyways, Dylan Cousins is looking good. Who knows what Josh Norris will do in Buffalo? But Buffalo, if there's ever a team that's going to shoot itself in the foot every single year, it's Buffalo. Unbelievable.
Now, that's a hockey trade. That one was.
Ready for the big trade number 2. Another one concerning probably Adelia's favorite player in the entire league ever.
Oh.
The Stars end up getting Mikko Rantanen from Carolina give him an 8-year, $96 million contract extension.
How much does that equate to in a year?
$12 million. But Texas also not
zero taxes.
A zero tax state. I think Rod Brindamore came out and said that they were kind of handcuffed because Rantanen said he was only gonna play for 4 other teams in the league and they weren't one of them. Now
Mikko came out today and said he didn't say that.
Yeah, but I don't see why.
I bet
Rod
he
Brind'Amour-
did.
I don't
bet
see
he
why.
actually said that.
Yeah, because
But
Yeah.
why would Brenda Moore come out and say that then? If
Yeah.
if he didn't hear that,
yeah,
Yeah.
Miko's first press conference or whatever he was doing today with the Stars was all like, I would have stayed in Colorado, but then, it's business and they traded me, so I'm glad I've landed somewhere that appreciates me. And I just shut up.
He's a
Just
winger
shut
making
up already.
$12 million a year. There was a rumor originally that Toronto was in on Rantanen for Mitch
there
Marner.
was. Well,
Mitch,
there was two possibilities.
yeah. Well, Mitch Marner said no to a trade, so that kind of wiped out the one to Carolina. There's also a chance of him going to Edmonton. I don't know who they give up on Edmonton to make that work. How do you make that work in Edmonton? Who do they
What
No
trade?
way.
Draisaitl?
Exactly. That would have to be it.
That's
Why would
it's the only one.
you give up the best goal scorer in the league this year? Plus, he's a center for a winger who
Yeah.
scored 55 goals one season, 42 another,
Oh
and then
wait,
making
I
$12
think
million a year, $12 million.
I think Edmonton actually offered Hyman, and they said, ha, 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 ha,
Yeah, that's
no.
ridiculous. You're kidding me, Zach Hyman. So Carolina ends up getting Logan Stankoven, who may turn out to be good. He looked good in the playoffs last year. He's fine.
No.
26 and 28 first, both conditional. Thirds and 26 and 27. Stankoven has 30 points this year. He's right now he's like a third line center. With Carolina, Rantanen ends up with 6 points in 13 games. Like Martin Akash has 17 points in 17. He's fitting well in Colorado. But, Rantanen does have 73 points on the year. He was lighting it up in Colorado before getting sent over.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he was.
it's funny when you play with players like McKinnon and McCarr that, oh, look, the points just all of a sudden come.
He
You
scored.
go,
Yeah, he scores in his first game in Dallas. I just don't know where the goals are going to come from. I don't know who he plays with. Like he had
Matt Duchene? Matt Duchene?
Matt Duchene.
I think
Yeah,
he's a
I don't
second
know.
line center.
Yeah, Yeah, I have no idea. I don't
Or is he
know.
or Jamie Benn?
No, that's
Like
the
these.
third line. There's no way you're putting $12 million on the third line.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But it's an aging like Dallas. Like okay, so we have what like I think he's on with Wyatt Johnston. I think.
White Johnson, they just gave that extension to as well. They gave him 5 years.
Which I agree with. I think that's a
Yeah.
good signing for Dallas.
I just people are jumping up and down. Look at what Dallas did. And I just don't know how. Like, sure, he's a good player, but I don't know how much he improves Dallas when you have to get someone. He has to get the puck somehow.
Well,
So
they
I don't
made
know.
one. Yeah, they made one move, and all of a sudden that makes them the belle of the ball. Like, no, again, like, I don't know how that's possible. Like, seeing what other teams did, but you know what?
I
I
think Colorado catches Dallas. I don't think anyone. I think it's too late for them both to catch the Jets now. But Dallas does have
well,
2 games against the Jets, and one coming up this week. But
yeah,
the Jets are
but
undefeated this year,
but
so
but we look at the schedule. Like, I know Adelia and I have talked about the schedule.
mhm.
Like, I just don't understand. Like, so Colorado is going to have all their games done. What, a week and a half before Dallas has done their schedule? Like, so
I,
yeah, they could
I
catch them.
yeah. The Avs' final game of the season is like April 13th, and I think Dallas is like April 17th. It makes
Yeah.
no sense.
Yeah, so so Dallas could catch them, but they're going to have how many games in hand as Dallas? Like, it just makes no sense to me. Like, honestly, it doesn't.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I think it's going to going to be a remarkable match. Whoever, like between the three teams, how unfair is it that somebody's got to go between the Jets, Dallas, and Colorado, considering how good they've been? It's a
Yeah.
ridiculous
Yeah.
conference setup.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's another division that could say the same, but
Yep, I agree.
They need to change the playoff structure. It's not fair.
1 to 8.
that's 100%. One day.
Everyone has a plane. Whatever.
Yeah.
Just we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that when the playoffs start. On the next episode. On the next episode of Playoff Beer.
Wow,
Okay.
we've already said the next episode. Wow.
Avs play Dallas on Sunday. Miko's coming back to Colorado. It'll be very
Wow.
interesting to
There,
see what
there.
reception he gets.
Oh,
Avs
you
and
know what he's
Dallas
gonna get?
Sunday. Jets and Stars on Friday. Stars are going to go through a murderer's row here in a minute. So, speaking of the Jets, quick, there are two moves. They go and get Luke Shen.
That's a great move. Great
I,
move. That's a
I
great move.
He's the all-time leader in hits somehow in the NHL. It just keeps people away from the front of the net for Hellebuck. It's a big deal. One of the big things it does is it moves Logan Stanley to the press box. So that is an average of four penalties, an average of 3 scoring chances
Again.
a game gone out of your lineup. It's huge for the Jets to not have Logan Stanley on the ice. They also get an old favorite back in Brandon Tanev.
Brandon Tanev's been very, very good. Like everybody that you guys picked up, like Shen, I think his first game was last night.
He played last night and he was very good.
5 block shots, 5 hits, like just a solid, knows his role. A perfect, perfect, perfect third
pairing.
pair defenseman.
Yep.
Just an absolute dream to have on your team.
The only guy on the Jets who's won a cup. Now he's won 2. Yep, great pickup. And with Tanev, they already knew who they were going to get.
Another great pickup.
The Jets' whole deal is if you don't have the puck, you goddamn go get the puck. And there's few people in the league as good as just going to get that puck as Brandon Tanev. Now, he did play for a bad Seattle team, so hopefully he can get up to speed. He had a good game in his first game of the back or whatever, but last night against the Rangers, it was.
Well, the biggest thing with Tanev I find is that he just has to, stop like poking your stick at everybody because you're going to get calls. Like you don't need to be in the penalty box.
Yeah,
stay out of the box.
Yeah, and the Jets' penalty kill isn't great. Their power play though. Best in the league. So, they give up 2 second-round picks and a 4th-round pick for these guys, depth guys.
Not bad.
It's fine. Yeah, it's fine. They're both unrestricted free agents. We could probably sign Luke Shen if we want. But we got guys that may be coming up. Who knows if they're going to be ready, though. And then Tanev, maybe we'll sign him. I think we would have never wanted him to go to Pittsburgh, but there was no friggin' way we were paying him $3 million a year. But in this new age with the salary cap going up, who knows if they do.
You may have to.
Yeah, if they really want to. We'll see how
if you want to keep him.
We'll see. Leafs make a couple of good trades. I will piss on the Leafs more than any team in the league, but I like what they did getting Scott Lawton in for their third line. Just shores it up, and it's just in case something happens to an old friend of yours there, Ryan, maybe he can go up into the second. They give up they get a 4th and a 6th round pick for that. They give up Graberkin and a 1st round pick. Again, Toronto's a team that doesn't care about 1st round picks, not as long as they have Matthews. They also go and get Brandon Carlo.
See that one I was surprised with. That one I was shocked at. But again, as we'll go on and talk about some Boston trades,
we're getting into that right now. So I was going to start with the Carlo. Yeah. And Carlo's a big guy, 6'4". He's a stay-at-home defenseman. Yeah. People seem to like me. Slots in besides Morgan Riley, so now Morgan Riley has a little more freedom to move around, which can be bad and good. If you're
what I like about these trades is that they have these players under contract beyond this year.
Yeah.
So these aren't just players that they just went and picked up because they thought might help them this year.
There's cost certainty in both of these things. And when it comes to Adelia, I'm sure she's happy that she got Charlie Coyle.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that's another good pickup. Great pickup for Colorado.
Yeah, he's got 22 points this year, but he'll slot in. What is it? Is it going 4th line, 3rd line, something
Third.
like that? Yeah. Get rid of Casey Middlestat. That experiment's over now.
Yep.
They also send a 2025 2nd round pick. They also but you guys get a 26 5th round pick. So there you go. How about that? Pretty good.
Avs are just trading draft picks like crazy. So.
I like if you're competing for a cup, who needs the picks? The Jets, just because we have to grow our own. Now, I like that idea of having Coyle there, the nice big size for a 3rd line. for the Avalanche, but we'll see what happens. I don't know. If it comes down to it, like with most of these trades, almost all of them, not one of them is the reason why anybody's going to win the Stanley Cup.
No,
That's true.
You're winning because of your core, and the Avalanche has a good core even without Rent, and so
Hmm.
we're gonna
yeah,
go on. Was there
one
any other?
more,
Was there any other
one more,
Boston trades? Any other
one more.
Boston trades that happened at
There
the
was.
at the
I
nick
think there
of
was
time?
one more.
Brad Marchand, the Rat,
Mhm.
is no longer a Boston Bruin. He goes to Florida.
Oh, I
Hmm.
love it. I loved it.
I think they've had Boston's had a little trouble with the Panthers in the playoffs here. He goes for a 2027 second. That could be a first in 27 or 28. If Florida wins 2 rounds and Marchand plays in 50% of the games, the 2 rounds thing is, they could probably do it. The 50% is, who knows,
Yeah,
because
that's tough.
Marchand keeps getting hurt these days.
Yeah.
So he wanted to stay in Boston.
Yeah,
Boston offered him a couple of contracts. They offered him a 2-year contract at $3 million per. He turned it down. He wanted that third year.
yeah.
So they offer him a 3-year contract, but
That's
if he was less, and he said no to that.
I
So
don't blame him. I don't
yeah,
blame him.
we'll see.
Like Marchand, like you know what? For as much as a lot of people talk about him, he is still a very, very, very valuable. He was the captain of the Boston Bruins, and they're offering him that. The
Yeah.
captain.
Yeah.
Like, come on. Like that. Like to me, that was as bad as what Julian Brisebois did to frickin' Steve Stamkos last year.
Oh, I don't know about that.
And
I think
and
the two
now and you know
potentially
what?
do.
I have hand up and accountability. He knew what he was doing because yeah, Stamkos has just fallen off a cliff and doesn't know how to score anymore.
Yeah,
But still, like I mean, like Marchand is the captain of your team now. Like it's not like it's an off season. It's still in the season. And he comes to you and you say, "Sorry, bud, this is all we can give you."
it's a
Like,
season where
come
you're
on,
you're
come
not
on.
you're not going to make the playoffs. That was a certainty. They weren't.
I
Too
don't.
many people have
Yeah,
passed,
again,
and
I
then
don't
you
think
go to
Marchand's
next year.
fair.
How do you improve on next year? You're going to have the same amount of guys because of all the money tied up in certain contracts.
So
Pasternak.
yeah, I understand that, but do you honestly think a third round pick for Marchand is going to improve Boston Bruins?
Nope. But I think the money that they
So there
can
you go.
allocate elsewhere uh, could help
Who's
the
going to
bottom.
sign?
But
Who's going to sign with Boston?
I don't care if it helps them or not. I hope they languish in the bottom for a long time.
Yeah, but who's going to sign with Boston now, knowing that you know what they just they could just throw you out to the wolves like they did their captain.
Well, he was there for a long time. I think he was on the decline of it. It's not like his trajectory kept going up. He was on the decline.
But do you think he's
He's
worth more than $2 or $3 million
injured.
a year?
If he's healthy for an entire year, maybe. But he's getting to that point where he's not. You're going to be paying him for half a year, so you can double that amount. You can make him
Well,
$6 million
well,
if he.
so, yeah, okay, so he got hurt once this year, and he's out for a little bit.
He's just not. He's not a $6 million guy. He's not a $5 million guy.
I never said he was.
I don't. I just don't understand like how you thought he was more than three
Well,
at this point in his career. We'll see. We could see. I'm just
I don't
wondering.
know.
Mhm.
I would still pay Brad Marchand $4 million.
47 points so far, 60 something games. That's not bad.
So if he's a 70 to 80 point guy, which he would have been on track to be if he was healthy, and I get
Yeah.
your point about being healthy, but
Yeah.
if he's a 70 80 point guy, what does that equate to in the NHL? That's a $5 to $7 million player.
Depends on the age. Again, it depends on the trajectories here. If you're on this part of your career, I don't see it. I don't see
I
it
can
getting that kind of money.
I can understand if he had a year or two where he's dipped below 50 points, but he's never been that.
Yeah, let's
Oh.
see. Yeah, he's a 60-point guy, 60-point guy. He had 80 in 21-22, so it wasn't too far removed from having an 80-point
But
year.
I understand what you're saying,
And 100
and
points
I
7 years ago.
oh yeah, yeah, 7 years. But I do understand what you're saying, like the trajectory, like Marchand, in his own account, he'll say he's not the player he once was. Absolutely not.
And by the end of this contract, but at the end of a 3-year contract, he would be in his 16th year.
But I can tell you right now, if I was in the playoffs and I had Brad Marchand on my team, I'd be like, yes, please. Thank you.
If I was in the playoffs and I had a little bit of ice cream on my cheek, I'd be wary because that guy's gonna lick it off.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, it wouldn't last long there.
What a monster! What a monster! Guys, that's it. That's all we need to talk about. Unless you guys want to talk about Fabian Zerlin somehow getting traded to Ottawa, I have no idea what they're thinking over in San Jose. It's weird. Sending Wallman to the Oilers, weird, just weird, man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Again, there's some winners and some losers in the trade deadline. I mean, I can sit here and say that I don't know how it will go throughout the rest of the year. I didn't
Yeah.
like. There were some teams that I'm like Vancouver Canucks. Just pack your bags. You're done. Thank you very much. Come out.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
Couple quick questions for you guys before we go. Just coming to the playoffs. Does Columbus make it?
I'm gonna say no.
In a
Yeah.
spot, they're in a spot right now. Rangers, couple points back. Habs coming strong lately. They're just a couple points back.
I still think the Rangers are good enough. I think honestly, I think the Senators are going to be a surprising team. I think Senators will get the first wild card,
That's where they're positioned right now. Yeah.
and I think the Rangers will move up to second.
Okay.
Wild
Let's go over to Western Conference. Flames sticking around at 70. They got the Canucks right behind. I think the Canucks are. I
card.
think
The
that's
Yeah.
Canucks
it.
are
The
done.
Canucks are done.
I think the Canucks
How
are
about
done.
the Blues? They look so much better since after the Four Nations Cup. Bennington has been terrific since that tournament. You can't count them out. Ducks, I don't. Well, no, Utah, I don't see. Yeah, it's between the it'd be between the Flames, the Blues, and Vancouver for that last money. You got to think the Flames, right?
I think
I
the
think the
Flames.
Flames. But yeah, I think I do like St. Louis. I do like the fact that Braden Shen basically said, "No, I believe in this team. I'm not being traded. We're gonna take this team to the playoffs." So I appreciate that.
We've talked about the Central enough. We've gone around the three teams.
Oh,
Whoever's going to win is going to be there. The Pacific, it looks like the Golden Knights are going to have no problem winning now because the Oilers have just been so trash lately. Caps are running away with the Metro, but in the Atlantic, either the Leafs or the Panthers are going to win that division. The team that
oh,
finishes
whoa,
second.
whoa, 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 whoa!
You think Tampa's
I,
going to catch them?
I think, hey, I would not count out Tampa Bay catching them.
Okay.
I really like what Tampa Bay is doing. I like the fact
Vasilevsky's been vastly improved,
he's been
especially over the last few
he's
months.
been fantastic since January. He's been
Mhm.
fantastic. I wouldn't put it past Tampa Bay if they could actually surpass both those teams.
That would be surprising. That's a 5 point jump. I guess
Yeah, but that's
they got one game in hand on Florida, so that's a
Florida.
3 point jump. I'm sure they're playing each other a couple other times. Florida has some guys that are injured, and obviously Ekblad being missing now, having to get Seth Jones up to
Which
speed on their program. So
which
maybe
which is that's going to hurt
you may not be
Florida.
wrong. You may not be wrong. But that's that same kind of thing where there's going to be one of those three teams
It's going to be those
gone
three
in the
teams.
first
Like
round.
yeah, like in the first round of the playoffs, it's the same as what it's going to be in the Central. Like you're going to get a Florida Toronto, you're going to get a Toronto Tampa, Florida Tampa. You're going to get a first round matchup you do not want.
Yeah.
No,
And that's unfortunately going to be the same in the Central.
it's going to be a battle. And how does that set you up moving on to the second round matchup as well? You would think, you'd presume it would be against the guys that finished the top seed because you look at those bottom seeds and you're like, oh boy, all right,
Yeah,
whatever, free pass.
exactly.
Okay, that's going to be it for playoff beards this time. Ryan, thank you so much. I know all you are. Do you even
This is
leave?
a this
Do
is
you
all
even
I
leave that
am.
room? You're
I,
just there. And we
I just
cryogenically freeze you, and we bring you
yeah.
in for playoff
I'm
beards.
just I'm just I'm just on here waiting for the live button to hit on playoff beards. That's all I'm doing.
Get an electric shock to wake you up, and that's it.
Ooh.
Adelia, thanks for joining us. Where can we find you on the Let's Get Ready Network?
You can find me next over on the Entertainment Channel on the Open Table on Sunday night, doing that with Ferris at 6 p.m. Pacific. We're talking about our favorite TV shows. Back with Snark on Tuesday on this channel, doing starting 11, talking about the Premier League.
Mm-hmm.
And then usually on Rewatchers Council, Thursdays, 3 p.m. Pacific on the Entertainment Channel, but not this week. So.
Nope.
Mm.
I'll be talking with Councilman Ferris Muthana. We're going to be talking earshot. We'll talk about the circumstances surrounding what happened with that episode as well a little bit. Saturday, LGRN after Snark, Danny and I are going to be talking about the first 3 episodes of Daredevil. I don't think Danny liked it very much.
I think he did.
He absolutely loved it by the tone of his text. Let's see what else. I think that's it. We talked about playoff beards. Now, we talked about starting 11. Now, playoff beards. Next time you see us, guys, the playoffs are going to be here. The matchups are going to be set. We're going to get into the meat to find out who will win the toughest trophy to win in sports. Even tougher than that golf trophy that we gave out one year at my work. Way tougher than that. Until then, guys, until about 20 games or so from now, thanks for watching Playoff Beers. And I bid you adieu.